Hey, you guys. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Hey, Tom.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Awesome. 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 I'm so stoked. Looks like we've got quite a crowd here, you guys. This is pretty awesome. Hey, listen, I'm going to drop in the chat box here. Excuse me one sec. I'm going to drop into the chat box, which is here, a link to a workbook. Let me know if you are not able to open that workbook.
I love the paint.
Yeah, it's a little girly in here. I'll show you around a little bit.
I like it.
Thanks.
Susie.
Should I just start, or is does anybody leading the meeting here?
I was going to leave it in your hands. You seem very capable. But we do have realtor time, so over the next 5 minutes, you're probably going to have a bunch more people sign in.
Totally fine. Totally fine. So, hey, you guys, I am so stoked to be here. Some of my favorite agents come from KW Atlantic Shore. So it's an honor to be here with you guys. I'm Christina Sciarretta. I'm an agent in Ocean City at KW. And I'm also in certification right now to become a MAPS business coach and One Thing coach. And so you can say this about me. I drank the I was at Berkshire Hathaway for 8 years. I said, I will never drink the Kool-Aid. But you know what? It tastes real good in martini glass, y'all. I'm going to tell you that. I love KW. Tell me this. Put a 1 in the chat box if you're a new agent or if you're not yet with KW. I'm curious. So put a 1 in the chat box if you're a new agent. This is your first year in the business. Okay, great. I see Joelle. Awesome. That's great. Or if you're perfect. Okay, Melissa and Heather. Okay, Gia. Okay, so good. So listen, awesome. How do you say that? Straya? That's a beautiful name. Okay, Danielle. Oh my gosh. So you guys, this is awesome. This is why I'm so stoked to talk to you today, because you are in the very beginning of your career, and I am going to teach you the absolute most powerful tool that you can use in order to accelerate your success. I am going to give it to you right now. And I am going to tell you what, I've been in the business for 11 years now. And it took me coming to KW to actually really understand how to become successful in this business. Because outside of KW, like, I don't know if anybody else has put a 2 in the chat box if if you've ever been at a different brokerage before. Put a 2 in the chat box if you've ever been at a different brokerage before. Okay, got it. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So, you know, the culture that if you have not, I'm only seeing 1 right now, 1 person that's a 2. So if you've not been outside of KW, let me just tell you something about KW culture. It doesn't exist outside of KW. Because nobody will teach you the other, like, how to be successful in this business, because everybody's worried about themselves. But we've got Gary, and we've got an awesome executive leadership team that trickles all the way down, this awesome thing we call culture that really just kind of is a sort of thing that we have where an agent that is technically at a competing brokerage in Ocean City will come and train you guys today. Like, that's culture. And it's really, really hugely powerful. So I'm going to, I gave you that workbook, and what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to share my screen with you, but I'm not, oh, here we go. Boom. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. All right. Perfect. Good. All right. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to minimize you guys. There's a lot happening up here. Whoops. All right, perfect. Okay, so to jump right in, I call this productivity magic, specifically because I'm gonna just shoot straight with you. I didn't have a great name, and this just came out of nowhere. But then, as I was thinking about it, I was like, no, it really is. But like, it genuinely is really productivity management. Like, I should have warned you ahead of time that I was a dance teacher for 15 years and also a kids pastor and in kids ministry for 10 years. So I might make you do some things that you're a little uncomfortable with, but as I tell my team, get comfortable getting uncomfortable. Like, that's where you're going to move from. That's where you're going to grow from. So do me a favor, put your hands on your desk and lean in. And I'm going to check and make sure that you're doing it. Hold on. Hold up. You can laugh at me all you want to, y'all, but come on, lean on in, lean on in. That's right. I'm going to give you the secrets to success. Get a freaking notebook and pay attention. If you're in, give me a thumbs up. All right, awesome, perfect. Oh, my girl, yeah, that's right. I see your pen and notebook. All right, perfect. All right, so here's what it comes down to. You have to, and this is now, I know I have one of my future leaders of my organization here, Jessica is here, and I know she's not an agent, and there may be some of you that are not agents as well. So I'm gonna go into some agent stuff, and then some of it's going to be kind of a general how to use this, because as a MAPS business coach, this is what I am teaching people how to do this in every business. This is scalable. This is just a concept. And who can unmute themselves and tell me where I can find the term 80-20? Or actually, that's the wrong question. That's the wrong question. Who can tell me what 80-20 means? If I say 80-20 to you, what does that mean to you?
80-20 means 20% of the people do 80% of the work, in my world anyway.
Yeah. It's true. It's a principle.
Or vice versa. We just learned this. I'm in the social equity class with Mr. Belgrave, and we're going over that, like time blocking. And we went over the 80-20 rule, about like observation, and the majority can be input and results. So we're going over it across the basis. So I thought this would be a great class to intertwine with what we're learning right now.
It's going to go right in line, because everything that I'm teaching you are the models of KW. They look cute. They have a pineapple on it because I'm eccentric and that's how I do. But the principles are this exactly what he's teaching you. And we love him. We've done deals with him before, and he's excellent. So you're in great hands. So talking about the 20% of 20% versus the 80%. Yes and yes. It's just a principle that Gary and Jay talk about in The One Thing. Okay, so if you've not read this book is going to coincide with what I'm going to be teaching you today, and that is written by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan, and it goes right in line with them in this way. So it's also a principle that 20% of the activities that you do are going to lead to 80% of the results that you get. Now, as an agent, I'm going to want you to write this down. Gary says that there are 5 things that are 20% activities for agents. 5 things, and 5 things only. Are you ready for what they are? Lead generation, lead follow-up, scripts and role play, negotiate contracts, and go on appointments. Those 5 things. Now, you might say to yourself, but what about the home inspection? Listen, there's another category called 80%. But here's what I want you to know. You're a business owner. Whether you know this or not, you didn't sign up for a sales job. You might have, but that's the wrong mindset. We're going to take the salesman hat off, and we're going to put on the CEO hat. So now you're a business owner, and you want to get the highest return on your money. Well, you're going to get a return on your money by doing the things that are going to bring you in money. Lead generation, following up with those leads, because you know, if you don't follow up with those leads, you're just going to bring them all in. They're just going to fall right through the hoops. Scripts and role play, because you need to know what you're going to say, right? You got to know how to negotiate contracts. And come on, somebody, give me an amen if you need to know how to negotiate some contracts in this market right now. It is absolutely insane. And so you need to know how to negotiate those contracts because you need to close them. And you obviously have to go on appointments in order to get, put things under contract. So those are the high impact activities that are going to bring you in the most results. Now you also have 80% activities. Now these activities, they still have to get done in your business, yet they aren't the most impactful things that are driving the business forward. Now, as an agent, this is some examples of some things that, I'm kind of giving you here, but there's tons of examples of it. And so it's things like searching for inventory for your buyers. So you might say, well, in this market, it's insane. I have to search for my buyers because I have to know the inventory. Okay. So this is where we take off our salesman hat and we put on our CEO hat and we say, okay, how do we do that thing? How do we do that thing more efficiently or leveraged or in a way that it isn't going to suck up a majority of my time? Again, it's not saying that you don't do, like, you're not doing anything else except for the 20%. We know that these things have to get done, but can they get done more efficiently? And if you're a CEO, if you're thinking like a business owner, you're going to say, yes, how, not know why. I would write that down if I were you. That's a good word right there. Yes, how, not know why. Okay. And so I have this is a printable. You could just totally print this if you want to. And I have a little area for you to jot down some other activities you might have thought were 20% before, but now you're going, well, I know, but what about returning that irate agent's voicemail? They seemed like it was really urgent. Like, let me just pause. Let's take a deep breath. I am going to free some of you agents. I hope that there's some agents, like, tell me how long you've been in the business. Let me see this chat box right here. Tell me how long you've been in the business. Where even is the chat box? Okay, well, now I don't know because I'm presenting. I guess I don't know. Oh, the chat box. All right. Is it here? Yes, I found it. Okay. Okay, 7 months, just getting started, 4 years. Okay, 3 months, less than a year, 30 plus years. Yeah. Okay. That's what I want to see. So I'm about to free the 30 plus year girl right now. And I am about to set you guys on a path to absolute freedom in this business, because if you don't know this, you're not going to last. And my dad was a broker in the business, and my grandfather was also a broker in the business. And I am in the business now, and I am going to tell you without a shadow of a doubt, you're not going to last if you don't understand this. Other people's urgencies aren't necessarily your urgencies. Uh-oh, I said what I said. That's right, I did. Just because it seems urgent to someone, just because someone's calling you freaking out because they want you need to respond, your seller needs to respond, right? And you're in the middle of Sunday afternoon lunch with your family and you're freaking out getting on the phone and you're missing the best time with your family, or you're in the middle of the most, if you do the math on what your how many sales you make and the 20% of activities, and you'll see, okay, this agent is going to bark in my ear because of her own issues or his own issues. And that's going to take me away from the big ticket items so now I'm going to get paid. Again, salesman hat off, CEO hat on. I'm now getting paid a heck of a lot less money per hour when I'm dealing with that person. Because guess what? Now I've just talked to them on the phone. They've shaken me up. I'm buzzing with like all my anger and my upsetness. And I can't even think. Anybody else know what I'm talking about? Hold on, I need to say, anybody else raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. You can't function the rest of the day. You're like, oh my gosh, this person's yelling at me. And it doesn't even matter. Like, you're gonna burn out in this business if you take it personally like that. So you need to know that you need to value your time. And when you think and act in order of priority, you're gonna make it, because the rest of it doesn't even matter. It's 80%. Let that agent's craziness burn off for a second. Let the heat wear off. Call them at the end of the day. Doesn't matter. Okay. Let it go. If it's not lead generation, lead follow-up, scripts and role play, negotiate contracts, go on appointments, let it go. Okay. Appointment preparation. You need to prepare for appointments, but do you need to sit at the office all day long and just play on your computer? No, you don't. Posting on social media. Some of us love to be like scrolling social media, like I'm doing some lead gen right now. And the reality is, if you're not bringing in the leads and you're not tracking and measuring what the results are, then you don't know that. And it's probably 80%. If it's bringing you in a ton of leads, by all means, go ahead and do it. Make it part of your lead generation strategy, but be clear on what it is. So I've got this for you. All right. So we are going to now jump into the gold. These tools, again, this one looks a little bit different. I'm sure you have seen the, if you haven't, kwconnect.com under the leverage tab has a GPS that you can print out, and you can also print out this one. But like, if there are any dudes that are in here that are like, I'm not printing a GPS with a freaking pineapple with pink sunglasses, okay, then that's where you can find it. All the girls are probably going to be like, yes, I totally want the pink pineapple. So it doesn't matter if you're a maps coaching, you probably have it in a spreadsheet. It doesn't really matter what it looks like, but the concept is the same. And it's this: you take a goal, you break the goal apart, and you translate it into activities that you can do every single day that will guarantee your success. And so it begins with the what. And I say this to my girls all the time, and my team, I say, we don't begin with the how. When we begin with the how, all of a sudden we start reasoning away things, and then we layer all of this stuff on top. We begin with the what. What is your goal? What is it? And by the way, this is something that you should definitely write down. Gary says that the purpose of a goal is to be appropriate in the moment. The purpose of a goal is to be appropriate in the moment. And that's big. What that also means is that if you do not have clarity on your goal, then your plan will take you off course. Okay. So for instance, if I were to say that I were tracking GCI, then my watch is buzzing away with somebody that's calling me because I thought it was on Do Not Disturb. Sorry about that. If I am, let's say my goal is units. Okay. So I want to sell 12 units this year, 12 homes this year. Okay. Then my goal is just going to be to go out and crush it and try to get any homes that I can, as long as I hit that goal of selling 12 homes. Now, if I'm tracking, let's say GCI, then I'm looking at my average sales price, and I'm really refining that. And maybe that's somebody that's in their career. They've done all the grinding at the, trying to sell everything else. And now they want to up that sales price a little bit. They want to scale that a little bit. So they're really going to dive into that GCI number. How can I bring that GCI number up and set my goal here? And then that's talking about revenue. But see, there's another thing that comes in, and that is, so you've got your GCI, right? Your gross commission income. That's all your commission dollars that come in. And then a portion of it goes to your to KW. And then a portion of it goes to, if you're on a team, goes to your team, goes to the central team hub. And then so then you have, those are called cost of sale. Now, if you don't have a team, then you've got cost of sale, and then you've got what we call operating expenses. So it really goes, your revenues up here. Then you've got your cost of sale that gets taken out. Then you've got your operating expenses, things like salaries, your licensing fees, things like that. And then from there, you have your, I just totally got sidetracked because I let my brain go totally off course. Shoot. Oh, yes. And then we have our net profit. That's where I was going. Okay. So net profit. So now if I'm focused on my net profit, then my priorities are going to be a little bit different. Maybe then I'm driving my budget model. I'm really making sure that like my expenses are in line so that I'm bringing in the most profitability. And either one, like any of these are okay. It just depends on where you are in your business. It just begins with the what. Okay. So I'm going to give you like 25 seconds, and I want you to write down what your goal is for this year. I don't care what it is. You write it down in your notebook. What is your goal by the end of 2021? Okay. Ready? And go. Okay, you can begin finishing up here. All right, so we've got our goal down. Now what we want to do is we want to break apart that goal into 3 big rocks, okay? So now these are, if you imagine the most impactful thing that you do in your business, okay? And there's 3 things. So if you were to take, I heard this like term before, that if you were to take like a mason jar and put like 3 giant rocks in it, and then you filled it up all around there, like those, I guess it's like that kind of picture of the 3 big rocks. Like what would take up the most space in that mason jar that would really get you to that goal. And those would be things like appointments set, a set blank amount of appointments. Or what else might it be? Listings taken. How many of you, like if you made taking listings a priority, is it feasible that you would hit your goal? Yeah. Yeah. And so if you're a rainmaker and you're in a different place, you need to ask yourself, what in my business? What? I mean, if you've been in the business for several years, think about your business. Where are you? Maybe you're brand new. If you're brand new, guess what your priority number 1 is? Lead generation. Lead generation. Because you can't do anything else if you don't have the leads. So you've got to generate those leads. So now once you've got those 3 big rocks, whatever they are in your business, now what you're going to do is you're going to rank them in order of priority. You're going to rank them. And now Jeff Woods, who is, he runs the One Thing podcast. I don't know if any of you have downloaded that. If you haven't, it's really, really great. Talks all about productivity, totally in alignment. If the stuff that I'm teaching you today, you're like, oh my gosh, yes, this is right up my alley. Download the One Thing podcast. Super, super good. And Jeff Woods was I was watching like a video about this. He was talking about how when he came aboard into the world of the One Thing, and he met with Gary and Jay, and they're going through his GPS, and he's at his first priority, and Gary's asking him all these questions. And then he says, okay, are we good? And and Gary says, yeah. And then he moves down to priority number 2. And he starts, going through this, priority number 2. And then Gary's like, oh, well, hold on. Like, take me back to number 1 for a second. I want to ask. And he starts asking more questions. So he's asking a bunch of questions. And then he says, Jeff says, all right, Gary, are we good? Like, can we move on? He's like, yeah, sure. And so he starts to get back to priority number, and he's like, whoa, hold on. And he brings him back to priority number 1. And at this point, Jeff Woods is like, I was seriously feeling like way out of the circle of trust right now. Like, I was like, what is he doing? And he goes, if your one thing has to be powerful enough to just knock that domino over, or at least make a massive, huge indent into that goal. And if you do that, if you only do that, then you will hit it. And so he literally took his GPS and he ripped it and just gave him back the one thing. And so then he wants to bring our attention to that fact, which is like, this is the one thing. This was huge for me, because for me, it was like, my one thing is leading and coaching and training my team. So when other things come in and then my team has a question, I tend to think, but I need to get this system done. But now I have clarity on the fact that no, they are the most important thing. They are my one thing. And so I need to put all of my eggs in that basket, and I weigh it again. I weigh my priorities. And then once you have those ranked in order of priority, so the first one is the first, the second is the most powerful, the third is the third, now you can begin strategizing. Well, what are some ways that you could, use some activities that you could do in order to hit that priority? And you go from there. And that's how you break down a goal and you begin to really put it like tangible things on there. And actually, before I move on, I want to say this. Once you have your priorities in alignment, you're confident that priority number 1 is priority number 1, priority number 2 is priority number 2, priority number 3 is priority number 3. Make sure that they are SMART. And a SMART goal is this. It's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant, and it's time bound. So whereas I might say, before I would say, take listings, now I'm going to say, take 7 listings by June 1st, 2021. And now my brain is in the mix of, okay, this needs to get done. This, I've quantified it. I know how many I need to do and by when I need to do them. And now we really begin to have an actionable plan. And by the way, let me just tell you this, your GPS is a living, breathing document. Okay. So yes, it can be changed and modified. And if we're taking off the sales hat and we're putting on our CEO hat, it should. Because once we notice a strategy isn't working, then we change it and we get back on, and then we start going in that direction. That's what a CEO does. Okay. So now let me come back here and say, you'll have a GPS if you have any direct reports. Yes, you have a GPS. If you have you're a single agent, you have a GPS. You should, if you're a rainmaker, so you lead a team, the GPS, you can have your own GPS, but the GPS, there should be a GPS for your team as well. So any of you that are running teams, have a GPS for the team and have the team on that so they know what the goal is, what those 3 big rocks are, and then what the strategies are to achieve them and who's responsible for those. Because they're not all going to be the rainmaker, right? Agents, those buyers agents and agents, you guys got to get on them, like operations, they'll have to do certain things. So that's how you assign those tasks. If you are an agent that's on a team, you might not have a GPS. You might just have a 411, and you might not want to have a GPS. Even if you're a solo agent, you might just want to go to the 411, and you can. But if you have direct reports, you really should have definitely have a GPS that is mapping that out for you. So now we're getting clear. We're getting clarity. Clarity is power. Say with me, clarity is power. That's what Diana Kokoska says. Clarity is power. It's a bold law. So now that we've got clarity on the goal, We have clarity on like the 3 big rocks that we've got to achieve. And we've got clarity on the strategies that we're going to use in order to achieve them. Now we start putting into play our action plan and breaking it down to daily activities. So we take our annual goals. What are they? Is it just one thing? Is it just net profit of 100K? Is it just, sell 12 homes? Whatever it is it several different things? Maybe you're tracking up, the entire economic model, appointments set, appointments held, listings taken, closed GCI, listen to, and closed units if you want to track that as well. So you choose what the goal is, but remember what I said, begin with the what. You have to begin with the what. Don't begin with the how, begin with the what. And then the how will come from that. Okay. And that's how you have a really, really sweet plan. Now from there, say, my goal is to sell 12 units. Well, then each month I'm going to have to sell 1 home. So whereas at the beginning of your career, you might be like, how in the world am I going to sell 12 homes right now? You're beginning with the how. That's not where we want to go. Okay. We begin with the what. I'm going to sell 12 homes this year. Like, I'm just going to do it. It's not like I'm just going to do it. I'm going to sell 12 homes. And in order to do that, that means I only have to sell 1 house per month. Well, if that's the case, and I only have to sell 1 house per month, what do I have to do this week to be on track for my month, to be on track for my year? So if I only have to sell 1 home, 2 homes, 3 homes, or take 1 listing or whatever, then my activities better reflect the strategies that I have for achieving that purpose, right? Whatever that is. Now we have absolute clarity. So maybe week 1 of, let's say it's the beginning of May, and maybe my week 1 activity is to make 20 contacts a day for, the first month. Maybe it is, you can choose to put a couple of different things, but here's what I want to tell you. This is not a to-do list. It's not a to-do list. Don't put your 80% on here. Okay. And this is why. Because at the end of the day, when you've gotten to now it's 5 p.m. and you really, you've got a couple more showings and you've got to go home, but that your 411 is jacked up with 27 different items that you made up that for yourself to do, you're going to lose your mind. And for no reason at all, because it's not like it's driving you to the main point. Do you understand? It's literally it's going to drive you away from success. You've got to get clear on where it is that you're going. And then you've got to do the right activities that are going to lead you there. So this is only for the most important things. And in fact, I'm just going to say right now, I feel like the one thing should totally like hire me to like pound their stuff. Cause I'm seriously like selling this stuff. I don't get paid at all. I just literally would love the one thing. But I don't know if anybody has the one thing planner. I like went in and bought it because I was just like, I just got to see what it's like. And I'm going to tell you what, it's the best. It is the best. You should order it today. So there is, well, actually, I guess if you just have a yearly calendar, you could do the same exact thing, or a monthly calendar. But there's just a lineup here for one thing, just one. So whereas I can ask myself the question, and these are the things that are coming from my 411. It helps you to get clarity on what are your monthly goals? What are your priorities for personal and professional? And then what's your one thing today? So if you get sidetracked and off into the rabbit hole with a buyer till whatever, and you start to get really frustrated and all these things, you can come back to, but what are the most important things that I need to do to achieve my success? Does anybody get anything out from anything from this? Do you guys have any questions or anything? Pop it in the chat box that I don't know how to get to. Hold on. Any questions? I mean, literally, like why can I not do this? Oh, here we go. Okay. No questions? Oh, great. Glad you guys like it. Okay. Moving right along. Okay. So now that you might have thought like, well, I thought this was about time blocking. It is, and you can't time block if you don't know what you're time blocking. Like you have to have clarity around what it is. Does that make sense? That's why they say clarity is power. You got to know where your target is. Otherwise you're shooting off into the ether. Like you should have seen me at the axe throwing place a couple weeks ago. I mean, I would throw that axe and it was like off and I was like, geez, I was like, this is a great metaphor for really what happens if we do not stick to our GPS. We just go off. We don't even know where the target is. Okay. So now we can begin to really block those things out in our calendar, because another bold law is if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist, right? If it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. And you can say, oh yeah, it does, but no, it doesn't though. And that's why you're late. And that's why you're missing things. And all of these things, they come from not managing your time. And if you manage your time is your money, you guys. Your time is your money. You choose. That is the beautiful thing about this business. You get millions and millions of dollars of free inventory to sell in your store. Like literally, that's so crazy to just make money on, and like a gigantic return on the money. But you choose how much money you make per hour by the activities that you do. Okay. And if you don't get that, you are going to spend your career doing the 80% and being just like everyone else, freaking average. And I don't care if you're average, because I'm not in your life, but you should care if you're average. And if you want to achieve something greater, this is how you're going to do it. And this isn't just about work. This is about your personal lives too. So I want to look at you guys for just 1 second, and I want to see, raise your hand if you, or drop a one in the chat box, but I can't even see the chat box because I'm totally challenged on this area. Okay, here we go. My energy is contagious. I know. I'm sorry. I was definitely a cheerleader, if you guys could not tell already, and a kids pastor. Like I'm just born and raised that way. Okay, so tell me, raise your hand if work has ever followed you home and caused you to snap at your family and the people that you love. Yeah. Raising a foot, like all the things, right? Like, yes, like this happens. And I'm looking at you guys in the face because I just want to tell you this. Like, you deserve so much more, and your family deserves so much more. Like, I'm getting teary-eyed just saying this to you. Like, it's so important. They deserve you at 100%. Not these little teeny tiny bits of you that are coming and going because you're listening to a buyer who you've been showing 19 houses to, okay? Don't let them do it. And you own your time. You do. Nobody else does. And you own it by setting the expectation. So come on, somebody, with your buyers, okay? That is key. With your clients. Don't expect them to respect your boundaries and be like all pissed off when they don't. They're not born and bred. They have their own boundaries. And they do not care what yours are. They're going to try to kick them down. The only one that's going to protect that time is you. Okay. So now we are going to go and talk about time blocking. So when you wake up in the morning, and this should be no surprise to anyone, I wake up like a bat out of you know where at 5 a.m. And some days I go to yoga, and I have a morning routine that encompasses all the things of the Miracle Morning. So if you have not read the Miracle Morning, there's a Miracle Morning for real estate agents. You definitely should. And you're in the right place to learn about all of this stuff, because this is like literally KW life. We had Hal Elrod at our, I don't know, what did we have, you guys? Like a couple, he was in Cherry Hill. He did this, like, I guess it was like the cultural summit, I think is what it was. And he wrote this book about his morning routine. So I don't have it on here. And you know what? I'm kicking myself in the behind because I really should. Want to revolutionize your day? Completely put a morning routine in there. And he says that they should be silence, affirmation. So savers, SAVERS, silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing, and journaling. So when your morning routine encompasses all those things, that's like the recipe for success. Like you want to be successful, that's the recipe right there. Start there. Okay. So now you come in the morning, you're fresh as a daisy. Okay. You get up. Don't get up at 9 a.m. Do not even get up at 9 a.m. If you signed up for this business because you're like, oh, these real estate agents, they do nothing and they make money. Like you're in the wrong business, bro. Like step aside. Okay. Like you need to get up early. You need to get some energy going in, get your blood going, and be ready to rock at 9 o'clock. And at 9 o'clock, you're getting into your one thing. Guess what you're not getting into? Somebody tell me, I wonder if my girl Alexis is on here. If so, I know that she'll unmute and tell me, what are you not getting into first thing in the morning? The big no-no, anybody that knows.
Oh.
Your inbox, your inbox. Because guess what? And this is another freeing thing. Your inbox is everyone else's priorities, not yours. It's everybody else's priorities. It's not your priorities. So whereas they might be urgent, now we're going back to the same thing. They might be urgent to some people. If it doesn't line up with your priorities, you need to put it in line. That's not to say you're not going to touch it, but you're not going to touch it first. You're going to look at your one thing. What is my one thing for today? And you're going to do that thing. You're going to eat the frog first thing in the morning. And until your one thing is done, you don't move. Okay. So if your goal, let's say you're an agent, your goal is to make blah, blah, blah contacts and set blah, blah, blah appointments from those contacts. Okay. So I will make I will make 20 contacts. I will set one appointment. Okay. That's my goal for today. Well, until you make those contacts and set an appointment, you don't do anything else. Because this is the one thing, when we're talking about the one thing, if you don't know what the term of the one thing is, I'm sorry, I'm having you guys write down a lot, but I promise you, pencil, like it's making your brain take it all in, okay? Here's the concept of the one thing. The one thing is, what is the one thing that you can do? What is the one thing that you can do such that by doing it would make everything else easier or unnecessary? Let's say you have a million different forms of lead generation going out and your brain is like starting to fizz and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like there's so much, like my brain can't even handle like what's all happening. And if you just measure your ROI and you see that there's one that's just highly impactful, go in that direction. Make that your one thing. But whatever it is, it's the one thing that's going to make everything else easier or unnecessary. And until it is finished, everything else is a distraction. Everything else. Yes, the phone ringing. Yes, the text messages. Yes, the inbox. Yes, everything else is a distraction. And then after you go through that time, so I recommend if you are an agent, especially you newbies, I'm going to tell you something right now, get in there and lead generate until your eyes fall out. Okay. Literally your whole job. If you want to be successful, it depends on what your level of success is. But if you want to be successful and you don't have any leads, like lead generate for 8 hours and you're going to get leads. And then you'll be able to do the other things. And until then, like until your one thing's done, until you set an appointment, if like that's the main goal, whatever it is, a buyer appointment, a seller appointment, until you set an appointment, everything else is a distraction. Literally everything else. You do not need to go on social media and design posts if you don't have leads to go service and go show property to and things like that. You don't need to, I don't know, I could think of a million different things that, that an agent could do. And one of them happens to be like my like scary memories from like my years at not KW was like all of the agents just congregating and talking literally all day, like all day long. Okay. And not getting literally anything done. Okay, so do the most impactful work and then you earn your break. So whatever, go refresh your soul, however you want to do that, get some coffee, get some great lunch, refuel. Okay. And then now 12 to 3, once you've done your one thing, now you can get into the excellence. Even though we call it 80%, I also refer to it as excellence, right? Stuff that needs to get done in order to provide a great experience for your clients. Right? You got to do meetings, you got to prep for your appointments, follow up with your clients, your buyer searches, return emails and admin work, things like that. That's excellence. You can do that after. Don't do it first thing because it's going to suck up your entire day. And before you know it, it's 5 p.m. and you have not moved that needle and you got paid $0 per hour. How does that feel? That's a little painful. You got paid $0 per hour, y'all. Okay. So do the most impactful things. And then 3 to 7, you're going on appointments, right? I mean, that's usually when people want to kind of go on appointments. They typically don't want to go during the day, but either way. And even if they want to go on appointments if you're very clear on your one thing being lead generation, which if you don't have enough clients to fill your pipeline, then no amount of any other activity should trump lead generation. Until your lead generation is done, do not answer the phone. Just as simple as that. Set the expectation ahead of time. I'm in meetings or appointments 9 to 12. You are. Your appointment is with yourself to show up like the person that you are, okay? And not wimp out on your lead gen. Then we go into a sample schedule. Now this is not, I'm gonna try to see if I can zoom in here. Oh, I can't, bummer. Total bummer. This is not the like a schedule that I'm like completely saying that you should use or anything like that. This is just an example of what time blocking looks like. If I showed you my time block, it would probably blow your mind, but actually I will show you, but I'm not in production at all. I do not sell houses and I haven't sold any in 3 years. So my schedule looks a lot different, but let me see, where'd it go? Yeah. But this is my calendar. I mean, it's a little bit crazy. I'm going to be honest with you right now. Yet every single thing that is on here is the most impactful things in my business that I need to do in order to drive the profitability of my team and of my business. And so same thing for you, because just like, oh yeah, perfect. Okay. This is exactly what I wanted to do. Okay. Because just like I block mine out and my role looks a little bit different because I'm a rainmaker specifically out of production, you are still a business owner the same exact way. And so you need to be as intentional with your time as I am. And so here's a sample way that you can do that, right? So I've got lead generation I've chosen some days, like 2 days to give myself off. Gary would suggest that you block your time off first, and then planning time second. So I will tell you, I plan every Sunday afternoon, like between 5 and 7 p.m. And I go up to my room and my family knows I am not to be disturbed. I am in my thinking time. I am literally like with this thing and my GPS. I get my GPS out every single week. And I look at it and I say like, okay, here I am. I measure my progress. Where am I at? In relation, how did I show up last week? Ooh, that's a tough question. How did I show up last week? Did I do what I said I was going to do, or did I make a plan and then go over here and then make excuses as to why I couldn't show up and do the plan that I created? But here's what I know is true. You can have reasons or results, but you cannot have both. And it's just really as simple as that. You can have reasons or results, but you can't have both. So here you can see I have wake your ass up at 5 o'clock. I'm sorry if anybody has any children around. Should have asked that. Okay. So 5 o'clock, you're waking up. All right. You're getting up, you're getting charged up, you're ready to rock. All the things that need to go into your ideal morning routine, you know, whatever you do. I don't care if you wake up at 7, just don't wake up at 9, you know, trying to get into the business at 11:30, 12 and be like, I'm going to be so motivated now. It's just not going to happen. Get up and let's go. Okay. So then you jump right into your lead gen. Then after that, we've got our follow-up time. The gold is in the follow-up. The gold is in the lead generation is step 1. The gold is in the follow-up because that's where you're converting those people. You're following up with them, converting them into clients. And then after that, look, now we have our 80%. So you can have plenty of time for 80%. You see it's in here. However, the most impactful things go first. And they go in here first thing, and then everything else goes around it. Okay, so that you're getting clarity on what it is that is the most important thing in your business, and you're putting those in your calendar. Time off first, planning time second, and then all of your 20% activities third, followed by your 80%. And that literally is the recipe for success. But if there's one thing that I can come back to you guys and look at you. If there's one thing that I can leave you with, it's that you've got to start with the what, not with the how. Okay, so coming here and just having a time block class and learning about time management is all fine and good. But if you are refusing to sit with this and get clarity around what it is you want, then all of that doesn't matter. You're never going to reach your potential. What ahas do you have, or what questions do you have about this? Anyone?
I find it a little strange to call people at 9 o'clock in the morning. Does anybody else have a problem with that? Like, I'd rather wait till 10. 10 seems a little bit more, I don't know.
What about
not
that?
Intrusive on their morning.
Okay. And that might be, a choice that you are making on maybe your own perception.
Maybe.
Yeah. Here's what I learned is you know what? We tell ourselves stories, you guys, all the time. And our stories hold us back from what's possible. So I would say this, and maybe it's making calls, maybe it's, doing something else. And, you're in charge of your time. You would make, you get to make those decisions. That's the beauty of entrepreneurship and being in real estate is really you get to make those choices for yourself. But I would caution you to be careful with the story that you're telling yourself, because that can easily become a pattern where we begin telling ourselves things like, oh, I don't want to do this because I don't want to, people are going to think this one thing. And if you're always worried about what others think, y'all, guess what? We're going to sit on the average side. But I know that you're called to greatness. So you either step into it and you get comfortable getting uncomfortable and let those stories go, and maybe you don't have to. You get to try it out. Just a suggestion. What else?
I just wanted to mention, it's me, Chris. I just wanted to mention that Christina is a big fan of staying in the fire, which is anything that is uncomfortable, out of the normal, do it. I know it sounds crazy. I am relatively new to the team. I've only been here about less than a year. And she's got me doing quite some things that are out of my normal routine, pattern, if you'll call it. And I'm like, wow, why didn't I just do this sooner? Instead of giving up, I just stuck with it. So if you just stick with the uncomfortable, I know Joelle was saying about making phone calls at 9 a.m. is a little awkward to her. Worst case scenario, you make a call at 9 a.m., you get a voicemail and they come back to you, or they don't come back to you, but at least you put it out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Could you repeat the morning miracle? I think it was. Yeah.
So the acronym is SAVERS, SAVERS, SAVERS. Okay. And it stands for silence, which is like meditation, affirmation. So you're telling yourself, you tell yourself what to think about you. You're stepping into who it is that you see yourself being, and then speaking as though you already are. So Rachel Hollis has a really great journal called the Start Today Journal, and it's got like 90 days worth of like writing your 10 dreams, which turning them into like affirmations, which is really good. But yeah, affirmations, visualization. So you're visualizing like, what does your future look like 10 years from now? Perfect life. What does it look like? And then exercise, reading, and scribing or journaling. So good. And so he has a book called The Miracle Morning, and then he also has The Miracle Morning for real estate agents as well. Super good. Yeah, thanks, Stephanie. Stephanie, perfect. Okay, what else? Anybody else? Any other questions, comments? No? All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed today. Go ahead and I would encourage you, print out this workbook and just do a little bit of work. Do a little bit of vision work. Ask yourself the question, what is it that I really want? And then craft your plan to get there. And I guarantee you guys are going to slay it. All right, you guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Get out there and go kill it, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.